Hello and welcome on to GolfBuddy, where today I've been busy testing some of our favourite GPS watches. I've got four with me today. I've got the GolfBuddy WTX, I've got the Bushnell Excel, I've got the Garmin Approach S60 and the SkyCaddie Linx GT. Each offers something a little bit different in terms of performance features as well as price and aesthetics to look at. And that's where I'm going to start the first category to help you sort of make a decision if you're going to buy a GPS watch anytime soon. So let's start with the looks of the watches. So let's take a closer look at the looks of each of these Golf GPS watches. And there's two standouts for me in this category. There's the Garmin Approach S60 and the Bushnell Excel that I've got here on my wrist. Now the Excel is definitely more of a sporty watch. It's got sort of big numbers that are very easy to read. It's got a sort of a nice smooth round face so that it doesn't sort of rub on your sleeves when you're moving your sleeves up and down, which I think is good in terms of comfort. And I just think it stands out on the shelf. It's got a good sort of size face and it just looks very clean lines, very modern. In contrast, the Garmin is more of a sort of a catalogue watch. It's got sort of the bezel around the outside, it's got a chunkier face. And I just think it looks like more of a lifestyle watch, especially if you're using it in a watch mode rather than to play golf. It's got really nice sort of ticking hands rather than digital numbers that I just think look nice. It's the sort of watch you could wear you know, sort of out and about really without worrying too much that it looks too golfy. The other two watches we've included in this category, we've got the WTX from GolfBuddy. For me, that just doesn't quite look as premium. It is a cheaper price point than the Garmin, and the face just doesn't excite me that much to look at. And the other watch, the SkyCaddie Linx GT, it's very much a golf watch. It looks like a golf watch. You couldn't wear it anywhere other than the golf course. So for me, these two offer a little bit more value for money in the looks category. So let's talk about performance, which is arguably the most important thing if you're going to invest in a GPS watch. All of these watches that I tested today do very similar things in terms of they've got 30 to 40,000 courses preloaded, they do front, middle and back distances, most of them do hazards. The two that I've selected to sort of highlight in this performance category though, the GolfBuddy WTX and the Garmin Approach S60, which both do a little bit more than the norm. The Garmin S60 is probably the standout watch in this category. It does full colour hole maps. It's got touch targeting where you can drag the crosshair to a ditch or to a bunker for carry distances. It's got movable pin positions, so you can put your finger on where the green is and drag the flag from front left to back right to get a really precise yardage. And it also does things like running data, cycling data. It's got a pointer mode, so if you're on a blind hole, you can use the pointer to tell you where the green is, or if you're in the trees, you can get a line to the green. So it's got lots of really great features that you didn't get in watches in years gone by. Normally, if you wanted that sort of stuff, you had to buy a GPS that's bigger, more expensive. Nowadays, you can get all of that on a watch. The GolfBuddy WTX does many of those things. It's got full colour hole maps, it's got hazard data, you can move the pin around, but it doesn't quite look as nice. And it is a cheaper watch, so you do have to bear that in mind. But for me, the whole package just wasn't quite as user-friendly as the Approach S60. The other watches we tested, also strong performers. The Bushnell Excel does front, middle and back data, it does hazard data, you can measure shot distances. It doesn't do the movable pin positions, which is why I didn't think it quite sort of got into this category over the GolfBuddy. The SkyCaddie Linx is a little bit different. It has, for an extra £60, you can buy tags to put in your clubs, and then you touch those tags on the watch and it records your round, so greens in regulation, fairways hit, how far you hit your 7-iron, how far you hit your driver. So some really cool tech in that. It also does movable pin positions as well. For me though, it just looks a little bit bigger on the arm. It doesn't look quite as premium as these watches. So before we share our final verdict, let's talk about value for money, which I know is very important for many of you. The three watches I've got here all come in at pretty good price points. The two on my left hand, the Bushnell Excel and the GolfBuddy WTX, come in at £199, and the SkyCaddie Linx GT comes in at £229. Good value on all three really, depending on what you want. Each offers something a bit different, but all come in sort of, around that £200, £230 mark, which I think is pretty good for a watch nowadays. It's certainly not cheap, but you do get a lot for your money. The Garmin Approach S60 is definitely at the pricey end. It's a more premium watch. It comes in at £399, so almost double the price of these two watches. For many people, you're gonna have to sort of toss up, do you want the extras of your running and your fitness and your colour sort of hole maps, or do you just want the more simple but better value for money? Let's talk about which I'd go for in my verdict. So the all-important verdict, which one would we go for if we were buying one of these watches? I've got two here, two of my favourites. The Garmin Approach S60 if money were no option, that would be the one that I go for. I think it's got the colour hole maps are really neat. It's got movable pin positions. I think it looks the best watch when you have it on your arm. You'd happily wear it out on the high street. I think it's just a great overall package from Garmin. I think they've done a great job with the Approach S60. And if you can sort of validate spending £400 on a watch, then the Garmin Approach S60 is definitely the one that I'd recommend. I know that many of you, however, can't validate that much money on a golf watch. So the GolfBuddy WTX, I think, is a great option if you're on more of a budget. It's got movable pin positions, it's got colour hole maps, it's got hazard data, and I think it's just a great all-round package. For me, it doesn't quite look as premium as the Garmin, but I think at that price point, it's going to win many people over, and it's a really good bit of kit. Two to consider, and what have you been using this year? Have you got a Golf GPS watch that you really like? Let us know. Have you got any sort of pros and cons about the one you've been using? Do comment below, help sort of share your feedback with other people. We'd love to hear what you think. Thanks for watching this video today. Hope it's been helpful. We'll see you again next time.